Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa ahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Let's begin by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the invitation to Islam. This is not a right. There are millions and billions of people who are wandering around in disarray, and Allah has invited us to His deen. We ask Him to give us the ability to fulfill the privilege of being Muslim. Now, have you read Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's resume? He's got a resume. It's not written by him. His resume is written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here's just one excerpt from his resume. Just one excerpt. And this is the excerpt that we will address, inshallah. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We sent you not, but as a mercy to all creation. Let's address this one excerpt from his resume. And let's particularly address it in the context of how did Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam deal with his enemies? How did he deal with his enemies? He used the golden rule specified by Allah. What is that golden rule? وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ إِدْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. Goodness and evil can never be equal. Repel evil with good, and then your greatest enemy will become your greatest ally. Now let's look at several episodes to see this golden rule in action. We always break it down into points. If you take one point away to discuss with our children, our grandchildren, we've succeeded. Just one point. Number one, the laws of compassionate engagement. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sent an army of 3,000 to face the confederate force of the Byzantine Empire, which numbered 200,000, they were overwhelmed 67 to 1. Do the math. 67 to 1. But he set them off with the laws of compassionate engagement. What are these laws? He said to them, fight the enemy in the name of Allah. Don't destroy or steal property. Don't kill men, women, children, old men, women, children, religious leaders. Never kill a wounded person. Pacify, do not punish. And he went on to say that gains achieved by plunder are forbidden, just like the flesh of a corpse is forbidden. That's the rules of compassionate engagement. Where in the world are these rules being obeyed today? Where? So right there we fall flat on our faces with respect to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Number two, most of us would be happy to neutralize a soft target. Most of us. This was never the impulse of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Where is there an example? On their way to the battle of Uhud, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's army had to traverse the property of a blind pagan called Marwa bin Qaisi. And when he sensed that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's army was on his property, he began to fling handfuls of dirt at them. And a few of the soldiers rushed to neutralize him. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to them, "Don't kill him. He is blind in his heart and blind in his eyes." Number 3, would you forgive an enemy who is also a coward? Would you forgive such a person? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was resting under a tree. A pagan by the name of Gawrat bin al-Harith crept upon him, drew Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's sword and challenged him with the question, "Who will save you from me?" Impulsively, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam shouted, "Allah!" The man fumbled the sword. It fell to the ground. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a flash retrieved it and asked him, "Aha! Who will save you from me?" The man says, "Be kind to your prisoner." Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, "Do you testify that there is no God but Allah? And Rasulullah is his prophet?" The man said, "No." He said, "No, I won't testify that, but here's what I will do. I will not fight against you, nor will I join those who do." Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam let the man go free. In this situation, all adrenaline pumps pumping, you and I would be blinded by vengeance. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was never blinded. How can he be blinded when he finds motivation in the book of all knowledge, Allah's operating manual? And in this instance, what was his motivation? His motivation was لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين وَلَمْ يُخْرِجُوكُمْ مِنْ دِيَارِكُمْ أَنْ تَبَرُّوهُمْ وَتُقْسِطُوا إِلَيْهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ. Allah does not forbid you from dealing kindly and justly with those who do not fight you for your faith, nor drive you from your homes. For Allah loves those who are just. The man went back to his people and said to them, I have come to you from one of the best of mankind. My respected Muslims, these are episodes where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is dealing with his enemies. How do I deal with my acquaintances? How do I deal with my business associates? With my relatives? Do I come close? Islam is much more than salah and zakah. Islam is a way of life. Number 4, the Thaqif. They seek refuge in a fortified fort. After the Battle of Hunayn, the defeated troops of Thaqif, inhabitants of Taif, they took refuge in a well-fortified castle in Taif. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam laid siege to this castle for 20 days, and he tried to flush them out, but in vain. At the end of 20 days, he decided to raise the siege and depart. And someone said to him, his companion said to him, "Oh Allah, these people have been disobedient to you. Invoke the curse of Allah upon them." So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed. And he prayed, "Oh Allah, guide the Thaqif and bring them to us as believers. This is his prayer when he is asked to invoke the curse of Allah upon someone. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not prepared to fly in the face of Allah's statement. What is this statement? Asallahu an yaj'ala bainakum wa bainal ladhina adaytum minkum mawadda. Wallahu qadir. Wallahu ghafurur rahim. It may be that Allah will grant love and friendship between you and those whom you currently hold as enemies. For Allah has power over all things, and Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Number 5, the compassion and obedience to change direction in the light of new evidence requires strength, it requires obedience, it requires courage to take new obedience into account. After the battle of Uhud, the pagans, they mutilated the bodies of the Muslim dead. Hamza, may Allah be pleased with him, the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was horribly mutilated by Hind bint Utbah. She cut open his abdomen, drew out his liver and chewed at it. She then cut off his fingers and his toes and draped it into a necklace around her neck. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw this, he was absolutely violated. He felt grieved and pained, and he promised to mutilate the bodies of 70 kuffar in lieu of what had happened. And Allah released the ayah. وَإِنْ آقَبْتُمْ فَآقِبُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا أُوقِبْتُمْ بِهِ وَلَئِنْ صَبَرْتُمْ لَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لِلصَّابِرِينَ. When you claim retribution, then claim retribution in proportion to the adversity inflicted against you. But if you show patience, that is indeed the best cause of action for those who are patient. In the light of this new evidence, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam changed direction. He said that he will not avenge this perpetration, and the mutilation went unavenged. The ability to change direction in the light of new evidence. Can I do this? Will I do this? My respected Muslims, Islam is broad. Islam is universal. It has multi-dimensions, and we have to understand these dimensions. Number 6, be careful what you ask for. It could cause you great pain. The kuffar of Makkah, they came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they said to him, you say that Musa alayhi salam had a staff that caused 12 springs to gush forth. He had a stick. And this could cause 12 springs to gush forth when he struck the rock. You say that Isa alayhi salam could raise the dead. You say that a camel emerged from the mountains as a sign to the people of Thamud. Show us a sign. Show us a miracle. Turn Mount Safa into gold. And if you do this, we will follow you. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam prayed to Allah to show them the miracle. Jibreel alayhi salam appeared and presented 2 options. He said to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that Allah can change Mount Safa into gold in a flash. However, if they do not believe, He will visit them with a grievous penalty. Now looking at their questionable honesty, the pagans, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam decided not to show them the miracle. Sure, his reputation will be tarnished. He will be called a prophet, a fake prophet who could not deliver. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was more interested in shielding them from the wrath of Allah. They didn't even know what they were asking for, and they could have been visited by a severe penalty. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam defended even his enemies. Number 7, I deliberately break it into little packages so we can take something away, not just a continuous speech. Compassion and mercy when in a situation of high stress, situations in which all adrenaline pumps are pumping. Remember, adrenaline is a hormone of survival, not a hormone of compassion. So when adrenaline is pumping, I'm not looking for compassion, I'm looking for survival. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam could exhibit mercy and compassion in those circumstances. Examples. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was stoned out of Taif, bleeding, injured, humiliated, he was approached by angel Jibreel alayhi salam and the angel of the mountains. And he was made an offer. And this offer was, give us the word, and we will bury Taif under 2 mountains of rubble. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam turned down the offer. And here was his logic. He said that I hope one day the inhabitants of Taif will have offspring who will worship Allah and no one but Allah. So in the light of tremendous stress and personal injury, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam could focus on the future. He could look at the generations of the future, and that's where he would cast his focus. This is the Sunnah. This is the depth of Islam. I feel if I wear the thobe and I wear a beard and I come to the masjid, that's Islam. I am underselling Islam to myself. We have to challenge ourselves to be excellent. It's not easy. And with all the spooking that's going around at the moment, it's even more difficult. That's when we have to bring ourselves to account. During the Battle of Uhud, another example of compassion in the face of hormone injection, survival hormone injection. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was surrounded by the enemy, and they began to attack him with ferocity. In that situation, what would I do? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed. And he prayed for his attackers. He said, رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِقَوْمِ فَإِنَّهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Oh my Lord, forgive my people, for they have no knowledge. In the face of this situation, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would pray for his oppressors. We have a very difficult act to follow. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to practice this deen which has been presented to us. Not a right. It's not a right that we are here. It's absolutely Allah's invitation. It's not a right. Now I will be failing completely in my duty if we do not talk for a few minutes about the situation in the Middle East. The situation in the Middle East is an absolute nightmare. Horrific. Men, women, and children. Yes, children are being butchered. It appears that Shaitan is calling the shots. That's the situation. And Western nations are fueling the flames, encouraging violence, sending bombs and war machinery. What does Allah say under these circumstances? Allah says, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمُ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. Call on me. Allah says, call on me. I will answer your du'as. I will answer your prayer. So my respected Muslims, let's call on Allah. Let's ask Him for His intervention. Oh Allah, ease the pain and suffering on the innocent men, women and children caught in this brutal crossfire. Oh Allah, open the eyes and hearts of our Muslim leaders. Let them act. Let them come out of the covers. Let them come out of the shadows. Oh Allah, give us the courage to raise our voices. Oh Allah, give us the courage to come out of the shadows and go to these protest meetings. Be visible, be seen, be outspoken. Don't hide. My respected Muslims, if one part of the body aches, the entire body is in pain. Oh Allah, those that you have taken under these circumstances, take as martyrs. Raise them in the company of the righteous. Ya Ghafur Rahim, those whom you leave behind, give them superpowers of resilience. Give them superpowers of resistance. Oh Allah, tie the hands of those who inflict pain and suffering. Ya Allah, tie the hands of those who inflict oppression. Oh Allah, tie the hands of those who inflict pain, suffering, who have no respect for life. We ask you, Ya Ghafur Rahim, to support us in this moment when we need support, we need buttressing. Oh Allah, you are our recourse. We ask you to strengthen us, and we ask you to give us the ability to act with our means, the means at our disposal, and our physical means. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. جَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا. I thank you for this invitation. Now, if there's any comments, any suggestions, we are very happy to address those, inshallah. We may not be able to address all your questions, but in time, inshallah, we will have an answer. So any questions, any suggestions, any objections, voice those as well, inshallah. The floor is yours. Anything you'd like me to repeat, anything that was not clear, I will do that as well. And something I did leave out was that the liberation of Makkah was one of the most compassionate military maneuvers of all time. The liberation of Makkah. I don't say the conquest of Makkah. The liberation of Makkah was one of the most compassionate military maneuvers of all time, taught to us by Rasulullah. And there's a whole talk on this, a whole presentation just on this subject. Why do you say it's the most compassionate? We'll do that at another time, inshallah. But I do this only to highlight how Rasulullah could deal with his enemies. Those that called themselves his enemies. Those who had no time for him. Any comments? Anything you'd like me to repeat? Anything that was not clear? Any objections? Please. That's the way we learn.
what is happening in present-day Palestine now? As American Muslims, what do you suggest? How should we do?
Well, yeah, what's happening? What should we do? How should we react? First of all, we should become better Muslims. If I am cool on my salats, I should heat up my salats. I should get closer to Allah, first of all. Dua is phenomenal. Every moment I think of this pain, I should say, oh Allah, be merciful upon me. Oh Allah, they are children. Oh Allah, you are the most compassionate. Nothing happens without your knowledge. Not a leaf falls without your knowledge. And oh Allah, come to their rescue. I should be visible. I shouldn't be hiding. There are so many protests that are going on. There's so many things that can be said and done on social media. We should participate with discipline and respect for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should participate. When our children ask questions about this, answer them. Don't hide. Answer them. Remember the hadiths that foretell the future. What does it say? It says there will come a time when a person will look at a grave and hope that he is in there. Why? Times are going to be so tough. I will have to get off my lazy boy couch and act. I will have to switch off the heat and air conditioning and act. That's how tough times are going to be. When you look at a grave, you're going to hope to be in the grave. There will be a time when one sujood will be more valuable than everything in this world. Why? The times will be tough. I will have to get off my lazy boy couch. Allah will make it so. So I got to strengthen my salah. If I can fast on a Monday or a Thursday, or both, I should do that. You see, this is the time to sharpen our resolve. Allah does not just punish. Allah leads. He's leading us towards a situation where we realize adjusting the softness in my mattress is not in the future. I cannot dial 7 on my mattress and be so relaxed. It's not going to be the ticket to Jannah. The ticket to Jannah is going to be, how consistently can I give to the orphans? How consistently can I give? And what is the change in my temperament, my personality, my response to humanity under these circumstances? And that is why I emphasized Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's reaction to his enemies in these times. We can't just hate. We can't just blindly walk around hating. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was sitting and a funeral procession passed by, he stood up. And the companion said to him, O Prophet of Allah, this is a Jew. What did he say? Was he not a human soul? In other words, I failed in my duty. I could not intercept him from going to Jahannam. I failed. I lost out. I didn't act fast enough. And so we should fast, quicken our pace to convince people of Islam with our conduct. How I interact with the cashier at the supermarket, how I drive my car, how I give the right of way to someone else. I should say, oh Allah, I am in my little way demonstrating Islam. How I talk to my children, the clues, the leads I give them. How I lead salah with my family, all of which at this stage in time is shining in lights. Allah is shining the lights. He's drawing our attention. We ask Allah to wake me up. Wake me up from my deep slumber. And that's what He's doing. If Allah were to punish, He will leave not a single thing on this earth. They don't call this punishment. If Allah were to punish, no one will survive. So this is the call, the awakening. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not have a cakewalk. The greatest creation of all time did not have a cakewalk. Everything that He achieved was on the precipice of pain. He endured everything. And He was the greatest of all creation, the most loved. But Allah challenged Him. Look at when His father died. Look when His mother died. Look when His supporter, Khadija, may Allah be pleased with her. When did she die? When He needed them most. The carpet was pulled from under Him. Awakening. Come to terms with reality. Oh Allah, those that You have taken, take as martyrs. Those that remain, give them superpowers of resilience. That's what the time is. Otherwise, how would I look at a grave and long to be in there? How? It's only possible when the environment becomes so intolerant that I want to hide. That's what's happening. That's the coming of the end. We should now be putting on our armor. That armor is persistence. That armor is endurance. That armor is obedience to Allah. That armor is salah. That armor is zakah. That armor is respect for parents. Love for humanity. That's the time that we find ourselves. Any comments? Any criticism?
What should be the role of so-called Muslim leaders or the Islamic leaders?
I did say that our Muslim leaders seem to be frozen in place. If they really fear Allah, then they have to speak out. The contract that I signed with government A or government B doesn't hold under these circumstances. I'm going to speak out. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had alliances. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah was an alliance. But when they broke the alliance, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam acted. He said, here are the circumstances. If you do not do A, B, and C, then our alliance falls to pieces. So we cannot, because we have these governments cannot remain silent. They cannot avoid speaking out, acting out, supporting, physically providing aid, physically demonstrating they are ready to provide aid under these circumstances. They've got to show that the blood is now gushing. They are upset. At least do that. If I am the keeper of the Kaaba, if I am the keeper of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's masjid, I've got to show that I am worth being the keeper. I'm going to come out from under the covers. I'm going to talk. I cannot just be investing in worldly investments. I cannot be looking at building glorious buildings and all sorts of other things which our leaders are doing. I'm going to be putting that money where it is. I'm going to be demanding that these people have food. The most basic things. So I want them to speak out. I want them to show themselves. I want them, just like we are here, our government is actively defending Israel every moment they talk. Just notice every time there's a discussion on National Public Radio on anything, they say 2 weeks ago 1,500 people were killed by the attackers. And now as a result 7,500 Palestinians have been killed. And what do our people say? We don't believe that number. Who's counting that number? So even in this situation, they say they don't believe it. This is our government. Are our Muslim countries saying anything about not believing something? Are they even talking? Get out from under the covers. Islam is not about just hiding behind the pages of the book and reading it. You're going to demonstrate it at some stage. And I can demonstrate it to people, and I can demonstrate it to Allah. A fast on Thursdays is a great way of demonstrating to Allah. And these Muslim countries should be actively schooling us in these endeavors. We want the world to fast on this Thursday. We want to make it special. We should be talking about donating, like we are doing now here, but our big forces should be doing this. They should be saying that these contracts, all these so-called works that are in the system, all come to a standstill until this is stopped now. We are on the precipice of signing many peace treaties with Israel. Many of our Muslim countries have signed. And some of the outstanding ones are on the brink of doing it. They're going to put this on hold with energy. Not just a small line here or there while sipping tea. It has to be done with energy. Everybody should be rushing to talk about this. The United Nations, 1 or 2 people in the United Nations have the courage of their convictions to speak out. They're not even Muslim. But they are on record as saying something. Where are we? Where are the keepers of the Kaaba? You see, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to me. But yet tell somebody there's Umrah next week and we are rushing. We are rushing. For what? For personal gain. But there's more personal gain in saving one life. There's more personal gain in talking out to save one life. Participate in these protests. Our young people should be there. I'm not saying be vindictive. I'm not saying be aggressive and dismay Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's etiquette. No. We should reflect that even in times of adversity. That's why we spoke about dealing with our enemies. This is more so now that we should reflect Islam. More so. But they have to speak out. They have to speak out with conviction, with all the verbal threats that they could bring to muster. We will say, some of Iran has got more to speak than many of our so-called Sunni countries. Why? Yet when you talk about Iran, everybody is going to be making negative comments about them. Are they Shia? Are they this? Are they that? We're going to be making negative comments. But Allah looks at action. Dua. وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمُ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. Your Lord says, call on Him. He will answer your prayer. The call is physical, calling to Allah, and also unseen, attending these various meetings, being seen, speaking out. If I fall a couple of notches at my work because I'm not falling in line with certain of their wishes, so be it. So be it. The beard cost me many promotions at work. Many promotions. I know this. But alhamdulillah, wonderful. It's my armor that I put on. So our young people have got, they've got a duty, and we have got a duty to support them. Any criticism? That's how we learn. We learn when people do not agree. Because you don't have to agree.
I just want to highlight or ask that, like, people of your age or my age, we still have something learned from our elders, and now a little bit speaking, a little bit going to the protest. But the next generation who is raising in this society, in this country, in these schools, the ideas and the concepts and the treatments, the type of narratives they are actually indulging, when they will be in our position and something happens like this, I fear that they would not even have this much courage to speak up, because they will be balanced or neutral based on whatever treatment is going on with them. That's what my fear is. And my fear is that for the next, as a ummah, as a community, as a Muslim, individual Muslim at home, we are not preparing our next youth to be more vocal, be more empowered, strength-wise, courage-wise, confidence-wise, knowledge-wise, that they can counter these type of situations easily. That's my fear. Do you think there is something in it?
I don't have that fear. I don't have that fear for two reasons. The first one is Allah will take care of His deen. Who He uses to take care of His deen, who He uses to propel His deen forward, is not in our hands. But He will make sure He has promised that His deen will survive. Also, I think, when I was growing up, and I looked at who attended Fajr Salah, it was a few old people with grey beards. When you look at the Salahs today, when you look at our attendance today, there are many, many young, spirited people who are there. And also when you look at what's happening in these universities, many of these outspoken people are young. They are young and they are speaking out and taking it on the jaw because of speaking out. More courageous than I would have been. So I am positive. I have a positive feeling about these people. Our youth, they are more energetic. They participate. We are sending them to Islamic schools. We are sending them to situations where they get the momentum. So inshallah, we should keep space for concern. We must definitely do that, but it should not weigh us down, because our youth are trustworthy. I tell you, there are many, many of them who would line up if there was a call to jihad. I never had that courage. I would never do that. There are many of them who are very spirited, who are prepared to talk out, who are prepared to clean the toilets at the masjid. There are many of them. And I feel that those are the people that Allah will empower. And He takes care of His deen no matter who He uses. He could use the most evil person to propel His deen forward. But He will secure it. And those that do not participate will be weeded out. But those that will, I have confidence that, inshallah, just look at how many of them attend the regular meetings, gatherings, salahs. There are a lot of youth. If you ask the congregation, who would like to be on this team? Many youth put up their hands. Sometimes we're going to tell somebody, you're 7 years old, I think you need to just cool it a little bit. But we've had that. They want to be on the teams. They want to participate. They will not sit and listen to you. They want to talk. They want to ask questions. Much more futuristic than I was. So I feel comfortable. Allah is there. He oversees everything. He has assured us His deen. Even though the disbelievers may detest it, His deen will survive. And He will use whom He wants. And inshallah, those will be the youth, and those will be surprising critiques of Islam, who will also be used unbeknown to them for the benefit of Islam. Yeah. Jazakumullahu khair. We thank you for your attention. We thank you for your invitation. And please, if you've got any comments, any suggestions, don't hesitate. It's easy to get hold of me anytime. Jazakumullah.